Welcome to Celebration Conversations. I'm your host, Sarah Taylor Young. Join me each week as I talk to singer-songwriters, artists, and friends about how they have turned their pain into purpose. Here at Celebration Conversations, it is my hope that you find motivation and celebration in your own journey. Let's get to it. Today, I am with Miss Lucy Graves, singer-songwriter, artist. So good to have you on today.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about how you got started. Tell me a little bit about your background first, what you've kind of done behind the
Okay.
scenes.
Okay, so before the artistry.
The artistry, yes.
Yes. Well, to go way back, the way I got into it, I mean, I was brought up with just music around all the time. I'm an only child, born and raised in New Zealand. But my parents just would be constantly playing music, everything from funk to jazz to hip hop, soul, rock. Ever since I was little, it was just my dad got a piano when I was 2, and that's because he wanted to play. But I remember just taking over. It was like, it just drew me to it. And yeah, he couldn't get in. He didn't learn piano in the end because I wouldn't let him. I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as a 2-year-old, I started hitting the keys
Wow.
and making up melodies badly. But it was this thing that I just loved. And from then on, I mean, my parents put me into jazz piano when I was 7.
Okay.
So I started, yeah, I was jazz piano based, not
Wow.
classical.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
different.
Yes, yeah, it is. Honestly, I wouldn't change it. I think for me personally, that's helped with everything that's come after. When it comes to what I've accomplished as well as having that background.
So I read your bio and I thought it was so cool. You were a part of the Black Eyed Peas.
I was, yeah. So I actually, weirdly, I was in New Zealand playing in a bar, playing and singing, and these these Americans walked in, and afterwards they came up to me and invited me to go to the studio to write and listen to what they'd been working on. And I come to find that it's a different production team, but the founder of that production team was the MD for the Black Eyed Peas. So yeah, so I was in the studio with them working. They really took me under their wing, teaching me a bunch when it came to songwriting and production. And 6 months later, I moved to LA,
Okay.
and got into the scene writing. Yeah, I know, very fast, very like, oh my goodness, is this happening? I'm scared, but it was great.
Culture shock, I
Um,
bet.
Oh, very, very.
Ah,
But I had been, I actually went to college in Boston. I went to the Berklee College of Music.
okay, gotcha.
So it like wasn't, I mean, it was still a culture shock. Yes, let's be
Yeah.
honest. Every state here is like a different country. So every time you move, it's a different culture shock.
I bet Atlanta was a big culture shock
Well,
to you.
definitely, especially because I'd been in LA so after moving to LA from New Zealand, before moving to Atlanta, so I was there for 6 years.
Wow.
Um, and in that time, I was on tour playing keys and singing for CeeLo Green.
Okay.
So that was the first tour that I got, and that
Okay.
was pretty incredible.
What was
Um,
it like being on tour? Some people like they kind of know what's going on, but just
yeah,
give us some ins and outs on what
yes.
it's like.
Um, every day blurs together. Basically, you're in a new city every single day, and you get to a new city on the tour bus. You go to sound check. and then you maybe have an hour, a couple hours free, and then you do the show, and then you get back on the bus and you go to sleep, and then when you wake up, you're in a brand new city.
Right, right. Wow. Yeah. I've
Yeah,
often heard about what that's like, and I would like
yeah,
to do that. My husband and I we're
yeah.
starting a ministry at the beginning of the new year, and
That's fantastic.
my artistry is going to be weaved into it and everything. So
Great.
we've thought about that. We don't know how that's going to work with a family. So I'm trying to get lots of input from other people.
Okay. Well, yes, I think it's exhausting. Just to be frank, it's
Right, right.
absolutely exhausting, but I mean, it's worth it. And especially if you're with your family too. That'll be
Yes.
awesome. What an experience for the kids. Or
That's
your,
what I
or,
was
you know,
thinking. We would constantly be on vacation almost, you know,
yeah,
kind of, well,
for
vacation,
real.
something,
Right.
this
I
would
know. I
be,
mean, you'll be working.
yes, yeah, yes. Hopefully we'll both be working at that point, maybe lose
Yeah.
our day jobs, and then, we
Hmm.
can homeschool her on the bus and all
Yeah.
that. So that's just kind of where we are right now.
I,
So tell me some things you learned from songwriting from the Black Eyed Peas.
um, not to overthink. don't yeah, don't overthink. Usually the first thing that comes to mind is probably the best idea.
Oh, okay.
um yeah, but then to be honest, mostly of what I learned from being with the Black Eyed Peas, because I was um on the, I was doing shows with them, um so most of it was more about performance,
Okay.
and yeah, and just being prepared for sudden changes on stage all the time.
Oh, yeah. Like you never know what's gonna happen sometimes.
No, no, especially with them. We would have a set. Yeah, no, I'm really, yeah, seriously. We would have a set list, but probably like 11 times out of 10, we wouldn't follow it.
Wow. Wow. They just get up there and do what they wanted to.
A lot of it would be kind of judging the audience and the crowd. And so we'd have a set list, so you knew you'd be doing those songs at some point. But if they felt like another song would be better at a certain time, they'd jump to that. And then honestly, a lot was Will likes to just ad lib and make stuff up on the spot. So we'd make up a lot of songs on the spot, like freestyle.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he'd just point to you and go, start playing something. And I'd be like, okay. So I'd find a sound quickly in my stash of sounds and just start playing something. And if he liked it, he would start ad libbing and doing something cool. And then everyone would get on board and we'd start basically making up a whole new song. But there are occasionally times where he was like, no, not that. Not that. Like,
What do you want from me? You asked
yeah,
me to make something up. Like,
right, right. I'm literally in the middle of the show in front of people, and you're like, oh man, no.
yes, yes. OTJ, on the job training right there.
Oh, really, though? And it's petrifying, but honestly, I think it's the best training you could ever get, is the practical training,
Yes.
especially in music, especially when you're in music.
Yes, yes, definitely,
You know?
definitely. So when did you start kind of getting the songwriting itch, as I like to call it? Did you start when
Right.
you were like a teenager?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've always been making up songs, and since I was little, like I said, I hear melodies. Like, I mean, you could be playing a song, and if I can tune out the vocals, I'll start writing something new over it. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so ever since I really, really started writing, like songwriting, probably when I was about 14 though.
Okay.
Um, and so it's always been something that I love and pursued. That it was just that the artistry wasn't something that I was focusing on. Um, it was like 2.5 years ago when I decided to leave LA.
Okay.
That it was I'd just come to a point. Yeah, it had just come to a point in my life where I needed to focus on myself and start building something for myself.
Mm.
When you're a touring musician, it's amazing, but you're always, I mean, you've got work if the artists want to tour, otherwise you don't.
Right.
So even after, tours were done and finished, sometimes even the artists just want to change their whole vibe, and so you're out of a job. So you're back at square one trying to search for work.
Right.
And yeah, so I just got to a point where I was like, I want to build something for myself. And I write, I record, I engineer. So why am I not doing this for myself? And, I've always wanted to be an artist, not to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to be famous. And it's
Right.
like, I need to, I want to walk down the street and be noticed. Like, no, that's not my thing. Like, if that happens, sure. But really, my whole thing with writing and putting out music is that I do it from a place that's very real. So everything I write is something I've either been through or I've been around someone that's been through it. And I'm very lucky to say that the music that has been released, people have been touched by it in a way that either it's helped them get through something or just help them realize, like, oh, I understand that, and like, I went through that. It's cool to know you did too.
Right. Yeah.
And so yeah, that was the big thing for switching from touring, like, as my main thing, to then focusing on writing for myself and others too still. But
Yeah. Tell me about some times where you felt like music and songwriting has just kind of helped you with life.
So yeah, it definitely has helped. I mean, it also has given me strength when questioning, like, myself and questioning certain, like, sounds that I'm going for. If I just listen and I might hear an artist who does something similar, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm not completely out of my mind for thinking that's great.
Right.
But no, I think music and songwriting in general has just helped a lot with, you can just get out. When it comes to songwriting, you can just get out your feelings, and it doesn't always have to be something that's going to be heard by others either.
Right.
You can do it just for yourself, and yeah, it's quite therapeutic as well, especially if you can learn to not put pressure on yourself to be great every time.
Yes. What would you say
I know
to
we all do that, but
Oh, yes, me, yes.
yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's just trying to start out with songwriting and maybe they don't think they're very good, but they want to try to, release some emotion? What would you suggest?
Yeah, don't try to do something that isn't true to you, because it's going to be obvious. The things that really resonate with an audience or with just people in general are the ones that you can truly relate to. Now, I'm not saying it has had to have happened to you, but if you can really tap in and honestly know that it's you who's putting this music forward, you're not trying to be something that you think people are wanting. You're not trying to do something that other people have told you should do because it's the cool thing.
Right.
I think if you can just be true to yourself and continue to write with things that make you genuinely happy, then that's the best way to go about it.
Yes, true. Tell me about
That's okay.
Good Enough and what the inspiration behind that was. I listened to it last night and I was like, yes,
Aww.
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Tell me about the inspiration
Okay.
behind it and everything.
Well, so it's I'm enough. Good enough, I'm enough.
I'm
It's
enough.
all the
Oh, okay.
same, but
Gotcha.
it's okay. But yeah, so I'm enough. Oh man, that was such an organic thing that came. So my partner and I, we, I mean, he's been touring, and then he writes and produces and is an artist himself now too. But we just we're talking a lot about the things that creatives go through, but then not just that, but people in general, and also this pressure that social media has put on.
Yes.
And we'd been talking amongst ourselves, and then we'd been talking to a lot of our friends, and it was like, it just blew our minds how many people didn't feel like they were enough.
Yes, 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 yes.
And, you know, and then we really, were honest and looked at ourselves and were like, oh yeah, I have moments of that too. And yeah, I know, I mean, you got to be honest with yourself first, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah, and so this song came super naturally, and it was just, we were talking friends, in the lyrics, we were talking to them, reminding them, like, this is what we see, you were enough. But then on the deeper level, it was also talking to ourselves. If we can, it's so crazy how we find it easy to support others and remind others and be gentle with others when it comes to judgments and how we feel, but we suffer with doing it to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I had to take myself off of Facebook for a little while. Well, I mean, I didn't like delete my account or anything, but I
no.
had to just be very conscientious about what I was viewing. Um,
Yeah.
My daughter, we found out earlier this year that my daughter has a speech delay, and it's been something that we struggle with. Some days are
Yeah.
better than others. And I would find myself looking at pictures of other moms and their children
Oh
and
yeah.
just thinking, oh, they just must have it so together and they don't have to deal with the issues I do. And I felt myself dragging myself down,
Right. Right.
and so mentally I had to take care of myself and just be like, okay, I just need to stay off that for a little bit.
Yeah. No, really. I think we all have a tendency to do that. And especially it's so hard now because social media really does just show the highlight reels of people's life.
Yes.
And I mean, even the fact that you're talking about this on this podcast, I think is beautiful, because someone else is going to hear that and go, oh my gosh, like same. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes. That's why I try to be transparent about it. This podcast is
Yeah.
aimed to bring out those things that people
Yeah.
struggle with.
Well, I think, yeah, we need to all realize we're all human.
Yes.
We are all human, and no matter what success some people have, you might have something completely different, and they might look at that and say, oh, but that's success. And then they're looking at you like, no, but that's success. Yeah, I think it's smart that you took a break. I think we all need to take a break occasionally and just get grounded and back to reality.
Yes, yes. Especially right now, like with COVID and everything going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
We've got the news. You cannot consume news 24/7. Like you just have
No.
to, you just have
No.
to be aware of what's going on in the world, but
Yeah.
don't let it overtake you and consume you.
Yeah, yeah. And you'll literally put yourself into a depressed state, which, we have to realize that too. Sometimes we allow ourselves to get to those points.
Yes, 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 girl.
Yeah, right. I know. And that's the hardest thing to admit too. Like, oh no, yeah, I totally did that.
Yes, yes. So speaking of COVID, what
Mhm.
are you doing right now as a
Yeah.
musician and an artist? I'm
Mm.
always interested to hear what people are doing, creative things that they're coming up with to do.
It was weird because the beginning of the year honestly was hard. I didn't feel creative, like not
Yeah.
even a little bit. And I think it was more of this, I don't want to say it was depression because it wasn't, but it was just this heaviness, the world, so that actually took a toll on me creatively. I didn't feel creative whatsoever. But then I just started writing for the sake of like not doing anything good. I started doing, I don't want to swear on here, but I started doing hashtag the something song ever, like the worst song ever, in a nice way to put it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I would do every day, I would do the worst song ever, more so to trick my mind into just getting creative, like no pressure, but just write something. And I want it to be the worst ever.
Okay.
And they weren't the worst, actually. And it helped with just getting back into this flow of stuff. And so from that point, I was literally just writing and working with people through Zoom and working with my partner, and that's been amazing. We've come up with great stuff. I mean, I released an EP this year. We just released a Christmas album. I've got a bunch of stuff coming out next year, and it's all built from having time. COVID gave us time.
Yeah.
And you know, COVID for me gave me initially, obviously it was pressure of I wasn't hopeful about the future at all, but then I switched that, and it's actually made me enjoy life more in a weird way. Taking pressure off myself to be this thing that I'd put in my mind, as if like everyone else was putting that pressure on me, which was like, no, I'm putting it on myself.
Right.
So I feel like I've given myself more time, less pressure, which in turn has allowed me to be more creative, has allowed me to enjoy the small amount of people that I have around me in my bubble.
Yes.
And then, you know, on top of just the songwriting for myself and others, I also write for commercials as well. So that's been a blessing, you know, because I can't perform live and I can't go into sessions right now. So, you know, this year's been hard.
Yeah.
Financially very hard, but
yes. My husband has lost 2 jobs this year.
Oh my
just due to
goodness.
the economy alone. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, you know, this past one, he started actually his new job today.
Really?
It's the best job that he's had all year. God has been good to us. What happened was, you know, he had just taken, you know, a new job, his past new job, and it was literally almost to the day, 3 months. And our benefits had started, just kicked in and everything. We're thinking, okay, yes, benefits, you know, we need really, really good. Okay. And then like the following Monday, yeah, they're letting me go. Okay.
Wow, that fast.
Yeah, like we didn't see that coming at all. But you know, I was pretty angry with God. I mean, I'll admit it. You know, I think that's a normal feeling. I mean, you don't want to lash out or anything, but you know, we're just like, where do we go from here? This is, you know, it was enough to have it the first time. Second time is like, okay, I just feel beat up now. Like,
right. Am I really deserving of this?
Right. So, we just prayed a lot, and you know, our faith really grew in that. We got close to our church family too, and now he's got the best job he's had in a couple of years now. So God just really showed off with all of that. So we were very blessed. We were very blessed.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's been a roller coaster this year. Not gonna lie. I think it has been for most everybody.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of tests every which way.
Yes.
So,
where can we find your music at?
So my website, lucygraves.com, all social media, which is just Lucy Graves. And then on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Google Music, and it's all under my name.
Okay, Lucy Graves.
Easy peasy. Yes.
Easy peasy. Yes, we need easy right now.
Yeah. I know. A lot of people ask like, oh, is that like a stage name? Did you make that up? I'm like, no, legit, that's my birth name. You know, thank you, mum and dad.
Yes. Free domain name.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, you know, my website, haven't had to add numbers, emails, all of that stuff. No numbers anywhere. And I'm like, this is good.
Yes. Well, it was so good to have you on. I've got to
you.
run. I have another interview actually right behind you guys.
That's perfect.
Yes. So, anyway, it was so good to have you on, and I would love to write some music with you sometime when we're both free. That would be kind of cool to see what kind of sounds would come out.
Let's do it. That would be fun.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Hey there. Don't go just yet. Be sure to hit subscribe to be notified of new episodes every week of Celebration Conversations. Show us some support by liking and sharing to inspire other followers and friends alike. Follow me at syoungmusic on Instagram. I would love if you left a comment or a review about this episode. Be sure to check out Lucy's music and more at www.lucygraves.com. Here is a special sneak peek of her single, Wanted Tonight. Check it out on all streaming platforms or on her website today.
No lies, no smiles to ease the pain, and I won't hide.